Hey guys, Mr. Nice, going to do U.S. History TEKS 3C. So, what does 3C say? Analyze social issues affecting women, minorities, children, immigrants, and urbanization. Time period we're talking about is about 1880, 1877, 1898. A lot of issues here. So, I'm going to try to be brief, but again, this is something we would take weeks in class to cover. But again, this is just a refresher. So, starting with women. All right, so we got industrialization. This is the Gilded Age. There are opportunities for women to get out of the house now and work within the factories, but the working conditions aren't good. They're not making as much money as men. There is not equality by any means, but it is an opportunity that did not necessarily exist before. So, industrialization, factories, all this is causing opportunities, but again, conditions aren't necessarily great. Minorities, okay? Civil War's ended, okay? Uh, Slavery is ended. African Americans are now citizens. They are not slaves anymore. But that doesn't mean things are fixed. We have issues, and it's going to take some time. And it's something that we're even still working on today. So, the post-Civil War, we're talking this period 1877 again, 1898. Conditions aren't great. There's poll taxes they got to pay to vote, which they're poor, they can't. Grandfather clauses where those who were poor who were white or could not read, because there's going to be literacy tests. Well, you got to be able to read if you're going to vote. But if you can't read, but your granddad could vote, then you get to vote. And that's a way to let poor whites or illiterate whites vote and keep the African Americans voting. So there are those issues where they're not going to be treated the same, still aren't going to get the equality that they deserve. It's still an evolving thing. So the treatment of minorities isn't that great. Now, immigrants, okay, coming into this country, there's new opportunity, and those who work hard can succeed. But it doesn't mean that it's an easy path. The opportunities coming in, there's going to be those they call nativists, and these nativists are going to be, you're not from here, don't want you here, you're taking our jobs, and they're not going to be a big fan of it. But still, we're going to have a huge amount of immigration. People are immigrating into the areas. They're going to immigrate into areas where they're familiar too. So you're going to see cities grow, and they're going to have ethnic neighborhoods. Because if you're coming from Ireland, or if you're coming from Italy, or wherever you're coming from, you're going to want to go where things are familiar and people speak a similar language if it's not English. And that's how these neighborhoods are going to grow and be ethnically divided. Then you're going to see differences in religion, and you're going to want to be where people feel and think and eat and believe like you do. So we're going to see some of those divisions. And you're going to be discriminated against because you may be Catholic and they may not want Catholics here. So there is going to be those kind of issues as well. Like I said, the nativists are going to want you to become American or not be here. And schools are going to help in that assimilation and helping you understand how America is, learning the language if you need to learn the language, and becoming a part of this country. So there's going to be an assimilation effort as well. Now, talking about children, children are able to work during this time, and there's not anything to prevent there's no child labor laws, there's no minimum work week hours, things like that. Pay is really bad, conditions are not safe, and usually kids you get tired working during the course of the day. What happens now, you start getting beaten while you're at work late in the day to finish your work. It's not great conditions for children. Public education is still much in its infancy. It hasn't really exploded yet, and the concept of children being children isn't really a thing. They're just little adults, so let's put them to work. So treatment of children at this time isn't the greatest. It's going to be an evolving kind of thing. With the nativist and the anti-immigration attitudes, you're going to see things like the Chinese Exclusion Act. I believe that's 1882. Yes, 1882. Chinese Exclusion Act, that's going to be an effort to prevent Chinese from coming into the country because they're taking jobs. So that is the belief. They're eating up all the jobs, so we're going to keep them from coming in. And you're going to see that not just with the Chinese. You're going to see those treatments back towards Irish, Eastern Europeans. A lot of different areas are going to feel that impact, where they're going to be discriminated against, or they're going to try to exclude them from coming into the country because they're different, or their religion's different, they may look different, whatever. But it's also about the belief that they're taking jobs, and that's going to be a very big thing during this time. So the discriminatory aspects, when we look at women, children, African Americans, people from outside the country, you can see a lot of racial discrimination, a lot of issues during this time, and it reflects within the policies and things that are happening during this time as well. So again, we've got industrialization. We've talked about that several times on some of the other brief videos. Massive growth in the cities struggling to deal with that. We're going to have slum housing, unsanitary working conditions. It's just not unsanitary living conditions. Tons of people living in small rooms, tenement housing. Those are going to be issues as well during this period. So hopefully that helps you with SE3C.